Hello traders, and welcome back to another market update. Today we are going to be taking a look at what the currency market is up to in terms of technical analysis. So let's dive right into it, starting with EURUSD here. We've got some interesting stuff to look at. Now what you'll notice here is that EURUSD is actually taking a nice little pullback off of this kind of uptrend that we have started to see, or this at least this recent up movement. We've seen some really strong bearish signals here as sellers basically have come in and stepped up to sell off where we had come from. Now, what you'll notice is that in just 2 days, we've actually dropped quite a bit here. If we actually get a pip counter, we can see that in the last 2 bars, we've seen about 135 pips to the downside, which on something like EURUSD, which is a little bit lower volatility than some other pairs in terms of pip count, quite some bit of movement there. So the first level I think that we are probably going to see, I very much think that we will likely come down to retest this previous low here. Now, the next big point here is that if we can break one of these levels here, either the black line below or this black line here, it probably will set into motion a continuation play. Now, the reason I say that is because we've been consolidating here back and forth on EURUSD quite a bit. And so as we come down to this level, it could just be another case where we just continue to range here. But if we decide to break lower, my idea would be that we are probably headed back down to the previous low, and there may be some pretty good trade setups to look for, looking for the continuation or the breakdown there. If we can see this gap here or this zone start to fill, there may be some pullbacks to look to play. Now, what I mean by that is maybe dropping it down to a lower time frame, and let's say that this black line right here is right here. If we have this kind of going on, well, if we have some lower time frame opportunities to look for continuation down to the low here, then there might be some room for a trade setup that could give us a pretty decent edge. GBPUSD is our next one here, and what we're looking at here with the pound dollar is we've seen recently a very strong kind of rise here on the pound. Now, what I mean by that, as you can see, we do have some higher lows here coming into this market, and it looks like, as we look at the pound pair or the pound USD right here, it looks like we have the start of a green candle right here. Now, if we do see that green candle continue, then it's very possible that this could be another lower high. And another lower high here would probably send us back above the highs here, right? And maybe even send us moving up to the point where we go back to retest some structures such as this area here. Very possible that with this kind of this rising market, right, that we also get, if we get one more lower high here, it could lead us to break through the top, and then again looking for that breakout, looking for that continuation up to the next major level, which would be something like this area, at least in my opinion and my analysis here. So next we'll take a look at USD/JPY. So dollar yen here, very, very choppy pair right now, not super decisive on where it wants to go. What you'll notice is that we went massively to the downside, we went spiking all the way back up, and now we started to see price kind of bleed back down to the downside. Now I will say, although it's kind of back and forth, I will say that there is some potential fibs to look at. You can see that we've already tagged the 50% level, right, which lines up pretty decently with some support and resistance previously, right? But what we'll notice here is that price has tried to hold it so far. And the big question here will be, if price decides to fail this level, right, as we started to see a rise, but it very quickly faded, right? If we start to see that level fail, very possible that we come down to 61.8 in the near future. If we start to see price break through the lows here, that would just be my first observation there on dollar yen. Next up is gold. Gold is very, very kind of choppy or ranging right now. What you'll notice is that we've got this level here and we've got this level here. We are at the top of the trend, right? So what we've seen happen is basically price has really rocketed off, on gold. And recently we've seen price jump all the way up to here, hitting up to the 1700 levels. And now we've just started to back and forth chop, consolidating towards the highs. Now, what that mean, does that mean that price is going to fall next, or is it going to rise next? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean either one. When a price consolidates, it's just taking time to consolidate, to think about what it's going to do next, basically as buyers and sellers, market participants, battle their way to decide whether or not the buyers will push it, break it up, or the sellers will break it back down. Now, I would say that I think it's possible that we do see a pullback here, although I'm not a big fan of shorting gold when it comes to a super strong uptrend like this. But I think it's very possible that we could see price make a bigger move to the downside, which might even lead to a nice little setup here, right? So something like this, looking for the breakdown, there might be some trade setups to look for if we were to break down through that level. From there, I like the idea of looking for a pullback here to this level, which also combines nicely with the 61.8, I believe, or close to it, right? You can see there's the 61.8. So we have this general area of support that may make for a decent trade. So that's just a personal trade that I'm looking for to see if we can get that. Very possible that we could have a double top here. The best way to tell me that this would actually be a double top would be if price were to break underneath and hold that level to continue lower, okay? So next up, we have WTI Crude, which is actually catching a really nice bounce. We are seeing some rally off of the lows, quite a bit of strength actually coming in here. And the big thing here is that we've got this downward trend line that's actually been broken, right? So depending on how you draw this, if you drew it like this, right? If you're looking at this trend line, or if you're drawing like this, right? Or if you're drawing it like this. All of those have been broken by those definitions of drawing the trend line. And so what that shows is that there is some buying pressure here. There's some strong buying. You can actually see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green candles in a row there, definitely showing that price is basically in the control of the bulls for now, right? We are coming into a key level though, which is why I wanted to talk about this pair especially, is this level here, okay? And this is kind of a standard trend continuation level, meaning that as price comes down, right, we do something like this. This level would be a lot of times the continuation level, just like this level would be the continuation level. Well, we're seeing that right now on oil, Wti Crude, right? We've got this level here as kind of that stepping stone. So watching to see if price will hold lower will be kind of a good trend indication, in my opinion, to see if price wants to continue this downtrend. I would say it's probably a pretty good chance that we could see some sell pressure here. If not, if we do see the breakout, right, then it might be time to reevaluate and maybe even look for some moves to the upside or some trend continuation. But for now, I'm watching and I think more likely interested in seeing that sell side continuation as we pull back to a major level of structure. Okay. Next up is Nzdusd, which this one and Aussie dollar are very similar. But what I want to talk about here is that we did in a similar way, we broke through a trend line here that was pretty significant. We've seen price, this level hold very well. And we've actually seen recently price breaking through that level, pulling back, and now the question will be, can we see that continuation? I would say there's probably some room for New Zealand and Aussie pairs to make a move to the upside, as they are typically risk-on currency pairs or currencies in general, and so money may be flowing towards them if we can get some boost on the stock market or if we can get some optimism around the world. Something that I will be watching for as we have broken through this trend line. I think it's very possible that we see continuation there on New Zealand dollar and also here on Aussie dollar, right? So we've broken through the trend line, and I think very possible that we could see some continuation as we pull back to some of these key levels. Guys, let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you back next time.